Hey, what's up everybody, Nexel here. Today we are playing Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, and we're going to be talking about this draw points deal that just came out with Global's 3.5.0 update last night. So what we're going to do is we're going to read through the notice, we're going to go ahead and talk about the draw odds a little bit, and then we're going to go into some things I think you should consider before you start selling all your medals in order to pull from this amazing banner. So first things first, holy smokes, I can't believe we got this banner. This banner is super good to introduce right now because it focuses on something that I think this game should do more of, which is just simple recycling. It allows you to take old stuff that you're no longer using, that's no longer relevant, and it allows you to convert it to new stuff that's actually going to be super good for today's format. So for example, you could potentially get Kingdom Hearts 3 Nominee, which is the best medal in the game right now. You can get Kingdom Hearts Dissidia Sephiroth, which is the best PvP medal at the time. You can get Kingdom Hearts 3 Elsa, which is probably the best supernova at the time period. It has like the best supernova effect for the time. But yeah, there's a lot of new stuff that you can get by trading in your old stuff, and I think that's super good. It was the same idea when they did the whole you can upgrade tier 4s to Supernova Plus. Super good. Love the idea of recycling. It allows you to be rewarded if you played this game longer. So the longer you played this game, the more benefit you're probably going to be getting out of this banner. So just keep that in mind. It's super good. Recycling is always a good thing in this game. It maintains your player base, it allows veterans to feel rewarded, and it gives new players something to look forward to if they stick around with the game longer. Super good stuff. On top of recycling, one thing I like about this particular banner is that by selling medals, you actually free up storage space for future medals that you plan on buying. So by freeing up storage space through the banner, you're getting new medals for more than just one medal's worth of points. So for example, you need to sell 10 tier 10s to do one draw. I really don't recommend that, but the point is that you cleared up 10 storage space in order to get one medal. So really you clear up 9. But yeah, to be able to clean up storage space like that prevents you from needing to buy more storage space for future medals that you want to buy. So I think it's good because 1, you recycle, and 2, you're getting storage space out of it. Both of those things essentially save you jewels from needing to pull for medals and to buy inventory space. So I think that's super good. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the actual notice itself. So first thing you want to notice is that you have until February 8th to do this. That is a long time frame. That's a whole month to decide if you want to pull for this, what you want to pull for, if you want to get rid of your medals, etc, etc. It gives you a lot of time to think, which is really good, unlike the Black Friday sale, which was like 1 week, you had to do all this stuff, and it's like kind of panicky. But this giving you a whole month allows you to really think your way through your moves and allows you to plan accordingly. So I really like that we get a whole month to think about this particular banner. The next thing that we're going to talk about is actually these draw points. So the way to get the draw points to pull from this banner, because again, it doesn't cost jewels, it costs these draw points, which look like this nice little shiny thing. So in order to get these draw points, what you have to do is sell medals. Now, there's a few rules in regards to this. You can only sell tier 2 or higher, meaning that you can only sell medals that you got from pulls. If you're trying to be clever and then farm a bunch of tier 1s hoping to sell them for points, unfortunately, it is not going to work that way. You can only do tier 2 or higher. The next thing that you should know is that you're going to get points based off the tier that you sell. So if you sell a tier 8 medal, you're getting 8 points. If you sell a tier 2 medal, you're getting 2 points. If you sell a tier 5 medal, you're getting 5 points, etc. So each pull is 100 points. So there's quite a few medals that you have to sell in order to do just one pull on this points banner. But again, it all racks up really fast, especially if you've been playing for the game for a long time. You're getting a lot of points because you have a lot of medals that you're probably not using. So super good stuff there that you can, again, recycle is the name of the game. So one thing to note is that you cannot sell Kairu medals in order to get points. So if we go here, actually, we'll also go ahead and show you how to sell medals. So let's go tier 7s. Or I'm sorry, let's go sell here. Let's go tier 7. And okay, so for example, this aqua medal here, if we sell this, so in order to get these points, you just go to the medal, you hit sell, and then it tells you how many draw points you're going to get. So I'd get 7 for selling this aqua because aqua again is a tier 7 medal right here. So that's how you can check for the tier. So I'd get 7 points for selling this aqua medal. Now, if we go to the Kairu medals, nothing. You don't get any sort of, oh, you can sell it for this many points. So Kairus don't count. So if you're hoping to get rid of Kairus in order to get points, that is just not going to work. One other thing to note for this in terms of like the conditions and how to get points, all that stuff, is that it applies to all rarities. So it applies to 5-star, 6-star, and 7-star. So if you have, for example, this is a 5-star medal. If I sold this one, I get 2 points. Because again, check for rarity, tier 2, right there. So it applies to 5-star, 6-star, and 7-star, which is good because if you get medals that are just 5-star versions in a pull, you can just sell those for the same amount of points that you would sell a 7-star for. So that's just really good because it allows you to literally sell anything almost that's not a tier 1 or any of like the Chips and Dale stuff like that. It allows you to sell almost anything and get points out of it, which is really good. It means that when you do polls, because for example, when you do a poll nowadays, odds are you're only keeping the trait medal and the featured medal if you get it. Odds are you're going to sell everything else. Everything else is useless to you at that point. So that's like 8 medals you're getting right there, straight value, regardless of if it's tier 5, if it's 5-star, if it's 6-star, whatever. So it's super cool that it applies to all rarities because that means you don't need to combine medals, make 7-star versions, and then sell those. You can just sell them straight up as 5-star medals. So super good stuff there. Let's head back to the actual banner itself. So like I kind of mentioned earlier, it costs 100 draw points to get 1 medal. But even though you have to sell a bunch of medals to get the points for it, just to do 1 draw, you're guaranteeing a boosted Supernova Plus or Supernova Plus Plus medal, which is ridiculous. That's just super good because, again, that stuff's pretty relevant to today. If you're a newer player, you're going to get value out of this no matter what. If you're an older player, you get a chance for a tier 10 medal, which is really good. So talking about, again, just chances, we're going to go into the draw odds. So I crunched out all the math, and again, here are a lot of the good medals that you can get from here. You can get Supernova Plus Plus Chain of Memory Sora. You can get Terra Xehanort, Dissidia Sephiroth, which I hope I'm able to get. You can get a Kingdom Hearts 3 Elsa, which is great. KR22, which the banner is still out right now for KR22. Any of the Supernova Plus foretellers, KR21, Cloud Dissidia, Leon Dissidia, Kingdom Hearts 3 Larxene, Kingdom Hearts 3 Luxord, lots of good stuff in this banner. Kingdom Hearts 3 Nominate, again, best medal in game right now. You also get tier 9s that aren't available in the banner normally. Then you have all the tier 9s that are available normally. And then just to round it all out, you get the tier 8s, which unfortunately aren't super relevant nowadays. Or, I'm sorry, some of these are tier 9s. But yeah, there are tier 8s in here. So just keep that in mind that there's a big pool in there. You can be getting tier 10s or you could be getting tier 8s. But the point is that each draw, each pull gets you a guaranteed boosted Supernova Plus or Supernova Plus Plus, meaning that you don't need to spend any tier 9 dual Meow-Wows or any of that nonsense in order to get this medal up to full potential. So that is some pretty good stuff. So in regards to the actual draw odds of the medals, I did some of the math earlier and I was able to crunch out the certain percentages of certain things that you want to notice. So the first thing is that you have an 8.76% chance of getting a tier 8 only because there's only so many of them. So it goes up from the Sephiroth all the way down to the Starlight. So there's really only 4 tier 8s in here. So it's an 8.76% chance of getting a tier 8. You get a 24.09% chance of getting a tier 9 that's not in the banners normally. These are the tier 9s that people are saying they should have included a long time ago. So that includes things like, where are they? Here we go. So Kingdom Hearts 3 Zigbar, Kingdom Hearts 3 Syx A, Kingdom Hearts 3 Pirate Sora, Kingdom Hearts 3 Kyrie B, Kingdom Hearts 3 Aqua. Unfortunately, I don't see a Xion A in here. So I don't know if they really restricted Xion A being released ever again. But like, Dark Baymax is in here, Dark Riku's in here. So, again, a 24.09% chance of getting one of those tier 9s that's not in the banners normally. And then lastly, to round everything out with the part that people actually care about, is you have a 21.16% chance of getting a tier 10 medal. And that's really good. That's literally 1 every 5 is going to be a tier 10 medal. And that's some pretty high odds in comparison to the banners that we have right now where there's like less than a 1% chance of getting a tier 10. So 21.16% chance of getting a tier 10. And when you do all of that math, it means there's a 46% chance you're going to get something that is available through the banners normally, which is going to be this stuff like in the middle here, like Kingdom Hearts 3 Monster Sora, Kingdom Hearts 3 Lee, Kingdom Hearts 3 Master Xehanort. So 46% chance of getting those. Just something to keep in mind. If you've only got like enough for one pull and you got to sell a bunch of medals that you don't want to, it's a 46% chance you're probably going to get something that's not going to be super good. So I just want you to keep that in mind moving forward. Again, just to wrap it all up, 8.76% chance of getting a tier 8, 24.09% chance of getting a tier 9 that's not available in the banners normally, and then 21.16% chance of getting a super valuable tier 10. So draw odds, again, some of my favorite things to pay attention to, and make sure you know what's available and you know what your odds are of getting them. So to wrap up this video, the last thing we're going to talk about are things to consider before you start going to sell all your medals and then trying to pull for a potential tier 10. So we're going to talk about some things to consider, and the first thing to talk about is making sure your sub slots are updated. So the best way to do that is to go to your keyblades and then hit the sub slots button and then hit optimize. Just go through each single one of these keyblades and make sure that the multipliers are optimized. And this is important because yes, while selling a tier 9 will get you 9 points, sub slot power is guaranteed. It is not something you have to risk on chance. So for example, let's just say you sold a tier 9 medal in order to get one pull. Like let's say you're at 91 points, you sell one tier 9, now you're at 100 points, you can do one pull from the draw banner. And then let's say you get a tier 8 out of it. So not only did you sell a tier 9, which is stronger than a tier 8, but you also got lower sub slot power, which again is not what you want to do. So make sure you go through the sub slots, optimize everything, make sure all your high tier stuff is going to be protected from being sold. The next thing that you're going to want to do is check the medal before you sell it. Check for traits and skills. So for example, for me, if we go to my tier 8s, for example, this right here, Key Art 19. Yes, it is a tier 8. No, I don't really use it anymore, but it has extra attack, ground, aerial, strength, and it also has attack boost aid max. Now, this is where it comes down to preference for people. If you don't want to hold on to medals like this, you can sell them. That's totally okay. It is technically still 8 points regardless. But for me, if there ever came out a challenge that's like you can only use tier 8s, which they've done once before, I'd at least have one solid tier 8 to hold on to in case that mission ever came out. So for me, I don't want to sell medals that have good traits and that have good skills attached to them. So for example, if it had like a triple threat attached to it, if for example it had defense boost 5 max, I wouldn't want to sell it. So check for skills, check for traits, because you don't want to sell the ones that could still potentially be valuable. For example, this Kyrie right here has defense boost 5 max, and yes, it would net me 8 points if I sold it, but at the same time, I'd be missing out on a defense boost 5 max, which is still really relevant to this game. So check for skills, check for traits before you start selling your medals. The next thing you should ask yourself is, do you really need this right now? So again, we have the entire month all the way up until February 8th to decide if you want to pull from this. If you don't need any medals right now, if you're passing content just fine, you probably don't need this. Like, there's no real reason to do it early as opposed to doing late, unless it is going to help you pass something. So for example, let's say you're struggling with the villains event that's out right now. Pulling a tier 10 could really, really help you. So just keep that in mind that you have a whole month to do this, so there's no real rush unless you need to pass something. The next thing to consider is that while you are getting a boosted Supernova Plus or Supernova Plus Plus medal, it will not have traits. You have to go buy the traits. And remember that there aren't really a lot of trait medals available right now. So if we go to the avatar boards, it's not like they reprinted an avatar board for every single medal so that we could potentially get traits for it. You would have to buy the traits separately from the shop. So if you go to the shop, go to the Moogle shop, you'd have to buy, unless you're VIP and could get these for 1,000, you'd have to buy all of these for 5,000 a pop, which is crazy. If you're VIP, it could be worth it because then it's technically like you got the medal for free because you sold old resources to get it, and then you'd only have to pay 5,000 jewels to get perfect traits on it, or even just 3,000 if you want the necessary ground, aerial, extra attack. But just keep that in mind that the medal you get is not going to have any traits, and traits are what's going to keep that medal relevant. So really, the best reason to pull for this is if you already have trait medals. So for example, if we go to mine, let's go tier 10s. So in order to fill out my album, I actually just bought like one of each trait medal. I used up all my avatar coins at the end of the month and just stocked up on a bunch of trait medals in case I ever ran into the medal ever again. For the Black Friday sale, I bought 99 of the nominate trait because I knew somewhere down the line it would be useful. So just remember that the medals themselves don't come with traits. So while, yes, they are super powerful and they are super good, having no traits can make them really, really bad at a point where they'd only be used as potentially a buffer. So just keep that in mind that they're not going to have any traits and you'd have to buy the traits in order to make them good. Another thing to keep in mind is while you do have until February, the points do expire. So all these points, they'll go away by February 8th, meaning that the best way to go about it is make sure you have exactly multiples of 100 points, because having 99 points is not enough to do a pull. And then if you can't somehow manage to squeeze out that extra 2 points, since you can't sell tier 1s, if you can't manage to squeeze out those extra points, you just lose 99 points and you lose all the medals that helped you get those 99 points. So make sure you have multiples of 100 or as close as possible, because if you just sell all your medals, you end up with like 55 points, and then you have to get another 45 points to do another pull. You just sold a bunch of medals that for some reason you didn't need to. You really didn't need to sell those medals. You could have held on instead of just having 55 random points that expire. So keep that in mind, that you want multiples of 100. That is how you're going to get the best value out of this, instead of just selling all the medals and then being like, oh my gosh, I just sold a tier 8 that could have potentially helped me later for points that expire. So just keep that in mind, that the points do expire. So another thing to consider before you start selling all your medals is asking yourself, do you have enough copies to upgrade this medal into a Supernova Plus medal? So for example, I have 6 copies of Illustrated Sora A, which I can upgrade into a tier 9 medal. Now, for me, I would personally just upgrade all of these to 7 stars and then convert all 6 of them into one tier 9 medal, rather than selling all of them for what is pretty much just 24 points, which is not enough to do a pull. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. Do you have enough to upgrade it? Because if you do, then I would consider not selling it. So I know that was a bad example because Illustrated Sora A is upgradable, but for example, Prime Key Art 17. I have 6 copies of it. I have a copy that has ground on it. So to this extent, I wouldn't want to sell these, because again, I'd only be getting 24 points out of it. And if they ever brought back the medal as some upgradable, crazy tier 10, tier 11, whatever, that comes with a better Supernova ability to increase my strength by like 5,000, for example. Just as an example, if they ever brought that back, I wouldn't want to be like, oh my gosh, I sold all of these copies for 24 points and then all I got out of it was an HD Ventus. So just keep that in mind. If you have enough to upgrade it, potentially consider holding on to it. Again, there's no guarantee which medals they're going to upgrade if they ever bring those upgrades back, but by doing the points banner, you're taking a risk. Whereas if you have 6 copies of these, you're not taking a risk. You have it for sure. It's right there and you don't need to worry about it. So if they ever upgraded this to tier 11, I'd be like, yes, okay, I saved my copies. I didn't just spend them all for the points banner and then just got something bad out of it. So I would rather hold on to these with the risk of them being potentially upgraded, rather than selling them with the risk that they'll be upgraded and then I have to buy 6 more copies or obtain 6 more copies somewhere else. So just keep that in mind. It is something to consider. It's kind of on the low priority list, because if you sold all of them, you know, that's fine. There's no guarantee they're going to be upgraded, but it's just something to take into consideration. Now, one thing that I thought was interesting, they released this banner while these 2 banners were active. Now, I know that sounds kind of strange to consider, but hear me out here. You could pull from these banners to get points for this. It's like literally a good conversion right there. Now, things to consider about these 2 banners before you pull. So the beginner's deal comes with 2 guaranteed Supernovas, as well as 3 7-star medals that are only tier 4 or higher. So at minimum, you're going to be getting 28 points out of this. You're going to get 8 points. If you get the lowest rarity Supernova medal, you're getting 8 points from each, 2 of those at 16 points. Then you have 3 other medals, which at minimum are tier 4 medals, and that's going to be 3 tier 4 medals, 12 points, 28 points right there for 1,200 jewels. So you could do this pretty much 4 times. Again, at the minimum, which is going to be 28 points you're getting from this banner, you can do this 4 times. So for 4,800 jewels, you are guaranteeing yourself a tier 8 or higher Supernova Plus or Supernova Plus Plus boosted medal. And that's pretty good, considering that you'd normally have to do like a mercy pull, even for just a regular copy of a medal. To be able to do this for 4,800 jewels gets you a potential tier 10 is disgusting value. That's just really, really good, in my opinion, to be able to get that out of there. It's going to be the same deal for the daily deal. So the daily deal will only give you 3 7-star medals, but they're guaranteed to be tier 4 or higher. So at minimum for 600 jewels, you are getting 12 points. Again, not as good of a value as the beginner's deal, but my point stands is that while banners are active, you can still do pulls in order to convert medals to points. And then from converting to points, you get super good value, getting potentially a tier 10 boosted medal. So that's all I want to say about this. Again, there is a lot of stuff in this video, and I hope that someone got some good value out of this in order to consider whether or not they're going to pull from this, how to pull from it, strategies before they actually do pulls for it. So that's all for now. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, if there are any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer when I have the time. My Discord is right there. In case you wanted to show off any of the pulls that you got from the draw deal, go ahead and drop on by and show us some of your awesome pulls. But with that being said, again, that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and as always, until next time, take it easy.